Thank you for joining us. I'm Kim Parmeter, President and CEO of the Hermantown Area Chamber of Commerce. And at issue today is a conversation about PFAS. What are they? What is going on? What does the consumer need to know? What do our businesses need to know? PFAS. So I have some special guests that have joined me today. They include Andrew Morley with the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce and also Tony Kwilas. Tony, I hope I have that right. Tony is the principal at TK and Associates, and you're going to get a chance to meet them in just a second here. But we really appreciate Minnesota Chamber joining the Hermantown Area Chamber of Commerce, our membership and friends, to find out a little bit more about this topic as new laws go into effect January 1st.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Appreciate it. As Kim mentioned, this came about. We had a roundtable up in the Duluth area, and Kim very helpfully noted for our group the importance of or the questions of PFAS in the Hermantown Area Chamber. So we're here today to answer any questions you may have and create a dialogue with Kim back and forth, and hopefully make sure that we have the folks in Hermantown well informed about what's going on January 1 and beyond. So, Tony, anything to add before we dive into it?
No, let's start and dive into it. And thanks to Kim and the Hermantown Chamber for hosting you and I.
All right. Okay. So Tony, I'll let you kick it off.
So nationwide, there has been a debate about PFAS, and it is a chemical class that has 4,000 to 6,000 chemicals in it, and not all of them are the same. But PFAS are known mainly for their ability to repel oil, water, and grease, and it provides flexibility and stability and strength for such things as like plastic tubing. And so there has been a debate about it, whether all of them have been looped into one class on whether or not they're cancer causing or not. But like I said, with 4,000 to 6,000 chemicals in this class, they're not all the same. They're not all used in the same process. They're not all available to be touched or swallowed or ingested by humans. But the state of Minnesota and others have kind of lumped them all together. And like I said, this is a national debate ranging from California to Maine to Florida. And when it came here to Minnesota, there's kind of three parts to it. And the first one, as you see on the slide, is Minnesota starting January 1st is going to prohibit the sale of 11 products in Minnesota. The second part was a registration and a fee for everything that's kind of not included in that list. And then finally, ultimately, a ban in 2032 of PFAS in the state of Minnesota. And we can talk about that a little bit and why that's concerning. But as you can see on the list right now, carpets, rugs, cleaning products, cookware, dental floss. Some other states have done these, and where industry can, and there's alternatives available and they're economically feasible, the industry is moving to that. But there are other states, and I'll use cookware as an example. California and Colorado have labeling requirements, but they don't have complete bans on cookware. And this will mean that such things as air fryers, waffle irons, tabletop grills are now going to be banned in Minnesota starting January 1st. And it's not just for residential or household products. It also applies to industrial. So think of restaurants, the back of the shop and what's back there. So on January 1st, no new products dealing with cookware are going to be able to be sold in the state of Minnesota. Like I said, industry's moving, whether it be cosmetics or dental floss, but there are unintended consequences that the legislature didn't think of also. And through the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, some of their guidance documents, the next one I'll call out is juvenile products, things that are marketed and designed for children 12 and under. The debate was mainly around car seats, changing tables, high chairs, completely understandable. But the agency has said marketed and designed also includes mini snowmobiles, mini motorcycles, and mini ATVs. Those are now, starting on January 1st, not allowed to be sold in the state of Minnesota. When we talk about carpets and rugs, some of that, as the industry, as I said, industry has moved on, but it's also going to include banning such things as floor mats and outdoor rugs here in the state of Minnesota. Cleaning products also includes anything to do with floor polish or floor care products. This would be, the example would be a hospital operating room. When they clean those rooms, those product they use to make sure that the floor is sterile and so the doctors and nurses don't slip contains PFAS because it repels water and grease. And so now we have essentially banned floor care products for operating rooms in the state of Minnesota. So there's a lot of kind of unintended consequences there that we're concerned about. There are other things too, like I said, with the registration and fee and the ultimate ban in it, because PFAS is also used in such things as automobiles, solar panels, electric vehicles, airplanes, tanks, aircraft carriers. So when we say that we're not allowed to do that here in Minnesota, there's a manufacturer of planes up in the Hermantown, Duluth area. We're a little concerned about that. Well, part of the rulemaking is what they say, they refer to it as currently unavoidable use. And that's defined as anything that's important for the health, safety, and functioning of society. So that's a pretty broad term, and industry is going to be able to apply for that. But that rulemaking is going to take place and is not in effect until January 1st of 2026. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew to see if there's anything that I missed there. And then Kim, I think maybe you had some questions that you wanted to throw that you had heard from some of your members.
Yeah, thank you.
First and foremost, I think there's can you guys hear me?
Yes.
There's a question of enforcement. Of course, now the MPCA has the authority, and these items as of January 1 are in fact banned. But as you mentioned in testimony at the legislature, Tony, there's this question of chain of commerce, right? There are Christmas gifts, maybe that someone ordered late and are going to arrive after January 1 on a truck or on a boat somewhere right now coming into Minnesota or coming to a shelf somewhere. And one of the things that we're trying to understand here at the chamber is how much does the MPCA intend to use staff time and hours to walk into Target and pull an air fryer off the shelf, or a vacuum or whatever it might be, or your local power sports dealer down the road. I know there's a pretty famous one north of Hermantown there. What's going to happen to the showroom floor snowmobiles right now? Point being, we want to make sure that our members and your members are able to sell their products and comply too, and it's creating a lot of patchwork. So Tony, I don't know if you have any further insight as to how retailers are approaching this or should approach this, or you and I both have been asking the PCA a little bit for further guidance, and we haven't gotten a whole lot of feedback, but I'm open to any further insight you have on this.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. And what Andrew's referring to is usually when Minnesota has banned other products, PFAS in food packaging or lead and cadmium, they put in the law that's what we call the manufacturer retail lag. There's a stop date for manufacturer and a stop date for when you can sell it. Because when you do an effective date with no manufacturer retail lag, January 1st, somewhere, as Andrew pointed out, in the chain of commerce, there is going to be product in a warehouse, on a truck, on a shelf. And so you have to allow for that product to move through the chain of commerce to go out. And so we'll have to see. They have, in other instances, in situations like this, pursued what they call educational enforcement, where they'll just let the retailer or the manufacturer to say, I'm not sure if you're aware of or not, but we have a law in Minnesota that bans this product and you shouldn't sell it anymore in the state. And we wanted to let you know about it, rather than come in and start doing fines and penalties right out of the gate. So we're working with the agency and had a number of conversations with them that hopefully, as this starts now in about 2-3 weeks, that they pursue the educational enforcement angle rather than coming in and starting to go through and fine and develop penalties on manufacturers and retailers in the state.
And not to be to scare anybody, but to Tony's point, we just don't know. We think that's what they'll do, but there's nowhere in statute that is explicit in that. So and rest assured, we'll remain cognizant and in communication with the MPCA. So any questions you may have, feel free to go through Kim and Tony and I, and we can try and get those answered for you. So I moved the slide here to the next one, and Tony touched on it a little bit earlier, but along with the 11 products that are explicit in the statute on January 1, there's also potential for rulemaking at the commissioner's discretion to ban further products. So someone may identify, we also think this product is a contains PFAS and is a threat. The commissioner, if by her read contains intentionally added PFAS, can start a rulemaking process and add that product to the list of banned products as well.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I no,
sorry,
that's
Andrew.
pretty much it. Just that we have the 11 explicit products. We have the long-term, ban by 2032. But between January 1 and January 1 of 25 and January 1 of 32, there's a window there where at the commissioner, the PCA's discretion, can add more products to this list of banned items by a rulemaking process.
So I have so many questions for you guys. So thank you again so much for spending this afternoon with me here and getting this information out to our members. Wow. So I want to go back to that first slide in just a sec here to talk through that a little bit more. And I understand that, we only know what we know so far, and we're, but that's something about business. Business loves stability. Business is good when we know what to expect, when we know what's coming down the pike for us, so that's alarming to me. I'm also concerned because we're a border town, essentially. The Northland borders Superior, Wisconsin. So if these rules aren't in place in Wisconsin, and it sounds like the ban is not there are a lot of other states. Minnesota is not the only state that's going through this right now, but where do this all started in Maine? Is that the first state, Tony, that
Maine took the lead and went farther. Like I said, California, Colorado have done some things. Maine did a complete ban also in 2030. They were also had some of the products that you see on that list of 11, not all of them, but some of them. After they passed it, their agencies started going through it and started realizing there was a number of unintended consequences. And they started to go back and make some changes to their law. Their original ban of everything was in 2030. They realized that might be a little rambunctious. They pushed back to 2032. They also realized, and there's that they had gone through and banned mini ATVs and snowmobiles and motorcycles and all the safety equipment that goes with it in the motorcycle area, like motocross, for helmets, shin guards, boots. Some of the safety equipment that folks wear were also banned. So they went back and started to repeal and modify some of the laws that they had there in Maine. And to your point too, Kim, is there are, we are, to your point, Hermantown, Winona, Fargo, Moorhead. There are regional centers where it doesn't take more than 7, 9, 11 miles to be able to go get these products in the border states that are right around us. And like to your point, the uncertainty that creates is an issue for manufacturers and retailers here. Creates unlevel playing field also, and a patchwork of rules and regulations for manufacturers that sell all over the world or all over the United States, where I could sell this product in Colorado, but I can't sell it in Minnesota. I can sell it in Maine, but I can't sell it in Florida. I mean, so it creates this patchwork, and it's very confusing for manufacturers and retailers.
Absolutely. So I first heard of PFAS Definitely, at least a year ago, specifically in regards to Lake Superior College, which is a very large community college here, serving thousands of students. But also, they have a firefighting training program, and they serve. Not only are they graduating about 60 firefighters a year, but it's also a regional hub for training firefighters. Folks doing intensive training with the county, the FBI. I mean, the list goes on. So many people that use this facility. And now my understanding is they're having to redirect some funds to help kind of clean up the area because PFAS are in the foam that is sprayed to put fires out. Is that correct? Am I understanding that right or saying that right?
Yes, PFAS is still, they're trying to find alternatives right now. Unfortunately, they haven't got officially certified by the Department of Defense yet, but it is a product in a firefighting foam. When you throw water at an aviation fuel fire or an automobile fire, all it does is spread the fire around. The PFAS firefighting foam is able to go through and suffocate the fire. And so it's been used in firefighter training, in Bemidji, at Lake Superior College, down in Cottage Grove, at some public safety facilities down there. But then it has been, after it's gone out, if it's not caught in wastewater treatment plants, it seeps into the groundwater. So there's some concern there. They're trying to find alternatives. It's used on aircraft carriers. It's used in petroleum refineries. So they're at airports, as I said. So until that alternative is certified, there's concerns from airports and refineries that if something would happen, a catastrophic event, that they still have the ability to be able to put out the fire that is resulted from that catastrophic event. And the Department of Defense is working on it too. Like I said, it's used on aircraft carriers all over the world. So they're trying, but they have not found an alternative yet. And the issue is that it's not just a simple switch out where you can take a can out and put a can in. If you can think of an airplane hangar, there's a tank that holds it, and then it goes up through the pipes over the air sprinklers, the water sprinkler system, and it runs throughout hangars throughout the state of Minnesota at all our regional airports and also at Minneapolis and St. Paul. So it's not a simple change out to do it, and it's very expensive, and it's going to take some time once that alternative is identified.
Okay. So is it going to be like my in my fire extinguisher that's on the wall in the other room, the fire extinguisher?
No,
Is it in that?
It would not be in your fire extinguisher in the wall.
Okay, thank you. That's good. But yeah, that's where I first started hearing about this. And of course, like Superior College would like to, make sure that the state helps them with the cleanup and making sure that everything is going the right way out at that facility, and so that they can continue to offer the programming that they are known nationwide for. So that's of concern for us here at the chamber. But also, let's take a look at that list again. This is carpets and rugs. So anything, we don't have to go through each and every one of them, but just so my experience, if I need to go and purchase carpet at my local carpeting store, I'm going to walk in and I'm going to see signs up, or is it going to be, it's just going to, can you walk me through that perspective as a consumer? What will a consumer, to the best of your ability, see in the stores?
Some may have a third party designation that says PFAS free. This is entirely voluntary. A national trade association or nonprofit, has some of those certifications. Many of which we just simply won't know whether it has PFAS in it or not. And I again, not a manufacturer myself, but I bet that there's some alternatives that exist, or existing competitive products that don't have it. But for whatever reason, and Tony can attest to the legislative history better than I can, they felt like this warranted inclusion as an explicit, statutory line item in Minnesota code. So carpets or rugs that contain PFAS, as of January 1, cannot be sold in the state of Minnesota, period. So I don't know if that's an industrial mat that you roll out at your auto shop, or if that's the mat here that my dog dries her paws on when she comes in from the back door, or somewhere in between.
Okay. So and we'll probably just see it just incrementally because I can't imagine just everything all at once. So,
And a lot of it goes back to the enforcement question we raised earlier. Is the PCA equipped to do this? That's a very candid question. A lot of it ties into, without detracting the conversation, into the budget questions at the Capitol with open full-time positions. How are they going to go, store by store? And like Tony said, if they do it the right way, if there is a right way for this, to say, hey, we want to give you a warning, or we understand there's a manufacturing retail lag here. So yeah, it's a valid question, and we're clear as mud as to how this is going to go. And as when we get through to the end here, I'll just jump ahead now a couple of slides. We do have a list of resources here for you. These are from the PCA's website. There are some slide decks that are helpful. There's for those that are, in business, that are manufacturing or selling, there is like a 62-minute webinar I've watched before that gives you a little further insight. And there's also an 11-page FAQ, which, perhaps your question may be answered in there too if we're unable to. But, again, I don't want to leave you with, with in desperation ahead of the holidays, but there is just some uncertainty. There's a lot of things that we simply don't know. Tony, anything more?
No, we touched on it a little bit previously. Where industry can, there's an alternative available, and it's economically feasible. So industry spend millions, if not billions of dollars trying to identify alternatives to these products. And in some instances, carpets and rugs, they might have found, in certain instances, maybe for inside, but not outside, maybe for certain type of materials that are used, but not for all of them. But the concern there is if there is only one manufacturer of that alternative, how many people and how long is that list of folks that are trying to get that product to put it in their carpet or rug? And so what's the price? How long is the wait time on it? So those all have to be factored in too, because if there is only one alternative and everybody's trying to get it, there might be a long time frame before they can get it and put it in as an alternative into their products.
supply chain issues all over again. So oh my goodness, this is a lot to take in. It's very interesting. And at the root of it, I mean, the intention is to make us safer, prevent these potentially cancerous chemicals from being in places and areas where we are, toys and carpets and cleaning products and things like that, right? I mean, it's Amara's law, and I read a little bit about that. And the intention is to keep us safe, but there is some concern about what this will look like because it's changed. And is there anything more you can add to that?
No,
I think, go ahead.
Well, it's because it's intention is just, there's no doubt. However, we just question how much thought they put into this law. And we, like you said, we're looking at other states right now that are peeling things back a little bit. And we wish we would have maybe talked to those states before we implemented such a wide-reaching law in the first place. So yes, you're right in that. Perhaps the intent is to keep us safe, which is admirable. But in a cost-benefit analysis, if it's hurting consumers, retailers, and manufacturers more than keeping us safe, So I digress. Tony?
Yeah, no, this law passed in 2023. The 2024 legislature looked at it and asked the agency to come back on January 31st of this upcoming year, 2025, to report back on two areas that we've had some discussions about: firefighting foam. Where is the federal government, specifically the Department of Defense, on firefighting foam, and what the alternatives are looking like and how close they are. The other one was upholstered furniture that has mechanical devices in them. So think lift chairs that are used in senior citizens home, nursing homes, hospitals, for people that have had hip or knee surgery, where you hit a button and the chair helps you get out of it, is the best way to describe it that I can think of. Those are essentially banned because of not so much of the textiles on the outside of the chair, but because of the mechanical components inside of it. So the legislature asked them to look at firefighting foam and then to also look at upholstered furniture. And that report, as I said, is going to be due January 31st of 2025. That will provide some discussion at the legislature, I think, in 2025 to revisit this and see how to proceed from here on out. Like I said, some of the guidance that the agency has put forth on cookware, we're the only state to do it. Like I said, California and Colorado have labeling bans, but when people try to go get an air fryer and they can't get it, but they can get a Keurig coffee maker, there's some arbitrary and capricious discussions to have there of why did you pick this product but not this product. So I think the legislature, I don't know if they're going to do anything, but there's definitely going to be a discussion driven by that report that's going to come from the PCA in January. Okay.
Okay, good. Very good to know. And you mentioned rulemaking earlier. Was there a potential? I'm going to have you give it like a 10,000-foot overview if people aren't familiar with the term rulemaking, what that is. But also just a second question on that for you, Tony, is if the stuff, additional bans can happen through the rulemaking process, can it also be rolled back through the rulemaking process? So I'll let you lead on that piece.
On the product ban, there was no rulemaking. The legislature gave direction to the agency to ban those 11 products. And other instances where the agency is not as specific as the product ban. The example of in January 1st of 2026, the legislature asked the agency to go out and use rulemaking to put together what a registration and a fee would look like for anybody that has PFAS in their products. So the rulemaking allows for public input. So state agencies open up and publish, quote unquote, a draft rule. And then members of the public are able to comment on it. They then have a time frame to take those comments, respond to them, and then formalize a final rule. But at least that rulemaking component allows for public input from all stakeholders that are involved in it. And so there was no rulemaking on the 11 product ban that we've been talking about, but on what's upcoming here on this kind of registration and fee, they're in the middle of it right now, having that discussion on who should register and what that fee would look like. And then within that is what I referred to before is the currently unavoidable use, any product that was crucial to the health, safety, and functioning of society. Always makes me smile because I think any manufacturer can say, hey, my product is important to the functioning of society. Whether you're a solar panel, whether you're an electric vehicle, anything that you can think of, I think people would have a legitimate discussion around whether it's health, safety, or functioning of society. But to your point, Kim, a long answer that rulemaking at least allows public input from all stakeholders who are involved in the issue.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for going into that. If people have questions, and people are going to have questions, I know you have the slide of resources for sure, or they can certainly get in touch with their local legislative official. Is there any additional advice you can offer along those guidelines?
I would say stay engaged with Kim, with us, with the PCA, with your local legislators. Ensure folks know where you're at, what hardships you're facing, and never hesitate to reach out to us. I should have put our contact information in the slides here, but Kim has our emails. We're available anytime, and we'd love to answer your questions, or if you have more, questions we can't answer, find you an answer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And if to see what I might need to pick up before January 31st. Anything on your list? Oh, no, thank you for taking the time to just, explain through this. And, I think my main purpose of wanting to bring you together to talk with me about this afternoon is really there's been so much that's happened in the last 2 years that I feel like this is something that maybe we've heard just a little bit about, but we're going to hear a lot more about it. So I definitely want to make sure that our members know, and friends of the chamber that follow along with what we're doing are hearing about it, and they know where to go to get the right information so that they can make the best decisions for them. So thank you both. I appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Thank you, Kim, and thanks to the Hermantown Chamber for what they do to make sure that businesses are able to grow in Minnesota.
Absolutely. Have a great day.